Welcome everyone to this week's IT news tonight with massive frame drops. This is ridiculous slightly, by the way. Maybe should we try to suspend this? Does it make it better? 326, you name it. Anyway, welcome everyone. Okay, maybe we should not have this massive scrolling then. Right now it's better. Anyway, okay, the no matrix like kind of build output here to temp.fs. No, actually we're both. Actually, wait a second. Maybe the server build load makes this actually frame drop. Now that I think about this. Let's see, welcome everyone in the audience, and where's our trusty OBS? So this week's IT news and bits tonight, as promised, today's third live stream, because we can frame drop 326. Okay, let's see how this develops. Otherwise, maybe actually the SSH load 326. Anyway, let's start and see how this is going. Welcome everyone. A lot have happened this week, more than I imagined. Not only at us as usual, while people tune in, a brief summary. Where did even the week start? Here's the week. Alright, we not only got the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, unboxed it, took a first look with Linux. We also finally got a Voodoo 2 for our vintage coding here, for new research and development, writing new code from scratch, and of course with nice little hardware that we can understand in a day or two. Galaxy Fold teardown. Alright, there was this controversy. What else do we have? My Quartz watch also finally works again, and then other stuff. Then this was actually 6 days ago. Anyway, 2019. Alright, I made a live stream because it gets a little bit on my nerves that all the software sucks so much, and I wanted to share the fact that in 2019 most 2D UI application stuff is mostly unaccelerated, as sad as it is. You can also watch this if you missed this 2019. This is, why do I? Or maybe the live stream broke. Anyway, then we received a check from Amazon for our withholded US taxes, so we pay as little as a American president, which might be zero allegedly. Anyway, maybe. And we innovated our SBetterFS edition for some nice snapshotting and send receive stuff. By the way, drop frames are not bad. And I finally took the time to make the final video of the Samsung M20. Super cheap, 229 euro smartphone, surprisingly good except the camera. For those of you who want something cheap or don't care about the camera, and yes, mono sound, but you could probably live with it if it's not for the camera. And then more Voodoo stuff. More actually is good. First the demo, getting it started, and then also level code and live coding. More live 3D-FX, getting it to work was a little bit stony road there. And then we got ourselves the latest and greatest Razer Core X Thunderbolt enclosure for latest and greatest graphics, innovation and stuff. And last but not least, today we shared Louis Rossmann's opinion about companies that suck, not only Apple but also PayPal, for in the future not wanting to pay refunding fees back, which might be quite a bit for some 6, 7, 8, 9%, you name it. With this, it is time to, by the way, what are we even showing here? This, anyway, let's switch to this scene and start here, although actually the first one I did not even want it to have in the news, but just what we live streamed earlier. If you want to see a super long stream of open source work, updating T2 stuff as per usual, including GCC 9 for latest and greatest feature, slightly better optimization, but of course again slightly slower, which we also made a video about already. But just because I had this tab open, then also starting here with some open source news, because why not? Let's also maybe, actually I could move this over where I usually have slightly turned the table here, but probably still have to optimize and prettify our headquarter live streaming setup here so that you have maximum stuff on the screen there, I guess, like something like that, I would say. Anyway, what else do we have on the screen? Welcome everyone. Yeah, GCCs are the usual open source updates, of which you find on this channel usually a lot. And with this, it's time to, did I not close all advertisements? The regular news here: sinister secret backdoor found in network gear, perfect for government espionage. The Chinese are, oh no, wait, what are? It's Cisco again edition. Because yes, backdoors, bugs, exactly what we are here and love so much in monolithic systems. And still waiting for systemd to take over here the monolithic kernel edition. And yeah, better ban this gear from non-US core networks, right? And of course the shameless double morale of American government and corporations. Always the Chinese and Russians are the most evil, and then when you look on their history and track record, maybe not the most amazing, but leave me in the comments below what you think about this. And of course, we should not use Huawei for G5 or any other network core infrastructure, but all the nice NSA backdoors. Yes, of course, that is what their marketing says. What else do we have there? US tech giant Cisco has issued a free fix. Yeah, free fix, they better fix it for free, right? With all the daily security theater vulnerability in the SSH key management. Yeah, it certainly sounds totally difficult to get right. And is due to the presence of a default SSH key pair that is present in all devices. Oh, a default SSH key pair present in all devices. Something like an NSA2 key or NSA key 2 and Windows, or allegedly. Anyway, yeah, so you don't need to look to the Chinese, Huawei or whoever to look for government backdoors. Just look to the Snowden paper. And you might find one or the other. And again, always looking forward to your comments and ideas there. What is your opinion about this amazing state of IT security? In similar news, more remote code execution, because you can never have enough of this in, you name it, Dell computers. This is also why I usually don't run any pre-installed Windows, besides usually throwing it, especially starting from back in the days with macOS, but even today, Windows into a trash can or similar round storage facility and install my T2, because certainly stability. And yeah, really sad. So someone, by the way, I think this story started with someone wanting to replace an aging, not too dissimilar here, 7-year-old MacBook Pro, because wasn't cutting it anymore, and the new ones, you know it, peak bugs, hardware bugs, keyboards that are untypable, stuck by dust and other silly nonsense, glued in battery, soldered in SSD, you name it. And then he made here the odyssey of reinstalling all Windows drivers and discovered here this amazing support assistant, just the usual stuff where you would usually find support backdoors and similar fine telemetry installation stuff, and here support assist agent something. And you can, as usual, look here on the fine details of download service on somewhere, title, Dell, whatever category, BIOS, G3 access something, and web client, yada yada yada, the usual fine stuff. You probably can get the idea of what we're talking here about. And this is also, we made the other live stream the other week somewhere when I packaged the Intel ME utility stuff, open source, now in core boot. And in the audience, people were surprised that they probably also run this while I was packaging it, and they were surprised they have this Intel management engine. And I really wonder why people always want all this support management, assistance, telemetry stuff on their devices just for other people to log in. I usually prefer my devices to have my login, but yep, the Mayu cloud, the Mayu can get cloud or stolen and logged into. In other news, open source hardware or something stuff. So I've had not really much time to read everything of this. This week because slightly busy and actually should also finish some other stuff. As usual, repeating story here, and someone published here, not sure if this is fake, fun. You need to read this yourself, or if you have read this or heard about this navigation technology that does not rely on satellites here, allegedly, apparently, supposedly open source. And actually this one I've not even scrolled over. Build, use, learn something. So I've actually probably should have prepared better, but probably we live streamed too much Linux open source update nonsense. But yeah, the device is built on a custom Raspberry Pi shield designed on, by the way, maybe I should check here our live chat in a more meaningful way and control what we're actually live streaming to the world scene-wise. And specification, self-navigation board is composed of 3 sections: polarization sensors, RTC clock, and a magnetometer. And comments in the audience, yes, that was me. Apparently my ME was not vulnerable. Yep, I remember it was you. I just did not wanted to call you out on finding the Intel ME, but vulnerable is one thing. You never know what other not yet found vulnerabilities are in there, like vulnerabilities by design, official backdoors and stuff, you name it. And yeah, so magnetometer, so no idea how precise this is, how amazing, how much vaporware or something, but we are here a new segment. I can't do research and evaluation of all of these details, but it looks interesting. Certainly open source, open hardware, always nice to see, share and whatsoever. If you have any more insight, try it out and so on, let us know in the comments below. And by the way, just to reiterate, last week we go through the news slightly faster, not to have always here hour-long live streams where people don't want to tune in. By the way, drop frames, 7,000, 35%, are you kidding me? I slightly wonder if this has to do with the build load here, because actually this is the same data center. Maybe we should decrease here the parallelism when I already tunnel through the data center and leave some cores to actually do some open SSH and traffic routing here, you name it. And next news, and that is accessing unikernel security. As I was talking here so much about my crazy größenwahnsinnigen microkernel ideas of disappointment of not only macOS peak bugs but also Linux for monolithic kernel goodness or not so much goodness, and stumbled about this paper because never can read enough papers. Unikernel, the difference here is that this is, I think, as far as actually, again, I've not read this, not so much research time this week. But as far as I have seen, yeah, exactly specialized single address-based machine image constructed using library operating systems primarily intended for use with cloud computing, where generic virtual machines running complete operating systems are currently the norm. And I think I mentioned something similar already in my earlier, maybe even microkernel idea, that there are the single address space things, especially. I knew this already. I even called this out in one of the many videos and live streams, and you probably want to subscribe and watch all of those to get the maximum impact of information overload here. And I called this out in an earlier live stream already for high performance. For example, if you run some web server in this kind of containers, you certainly do not really need a full operating system for each web server. Then of course it is theoretically quite viable to just have this web server kind of application running in one container with all the virtual virt.io network and other like block.io and such, everything linked together in one kind of executable running in some virtualized instance without all the legacy drivers, so no legacy timers, no old-fashioned 386 programmable interval timer, and so on, but only virt.io networking, virt.io block.io, virt.io maybe serial port for debugging and something. By the way, I should also, is this stream so much lagging? Why is this? OBS does not use CPU for audio compression. What do you mean? OBS does use... this build is running on the data center, not on... I'm not as crazy in, but I route to improve here our cable UDP packet loss. I route this here VPN through that data center. I'm not using actual... I'm not crazy if I overload this aging ultra low voltage kind of Mac Mini, then we would have even worse stream performance here. So yeah, what are the benefits? No unnecessary code, like I said, the legacy floppy, IDE, whatnot, timer, and all the... You have seen this. I unpacked the Linux kernel. Maybe nearly a gig, was it nearly a gigabyte unpacked or something, and super huge, just the Linux kernel plus the glibc plus all the other libraries and so on. And yeah, no shell, so attackers cannot simply invoke /bin shell there, no reconfiguration, because you just run there your one specific application, no system calls, so also no also performance loss, or what do they also write here, other things. And yeah, as I said, no reduced hardware emulation, as I said, no legacy stuff. By the way, what do they, certain types of unikernel can run on IBM's UK VM? What? Anyway, and I can disallow access to ring 0 if the hypervisor provides per virtualized interfaces for the storage network devices. VM can run in ring 3 instead of ring. This will not only modify its own page tables, the hypervisor can thus enforce write or execute. Yeah, so you can, of course, this is a total difference. In my opinion, you cannot do a general purpose system like this one with OBS, with Firefox in one address space. Obviously, exactly why I call out the monolithic kernel for a typo in a joystick driver or a trackball driver can take down. Was it even on camera? Probably should double check here. Run down your... Hello, can you come in foreground? Was it here? Was a little bit, actually quite, why is it so dark here? Anyway, and what ISO, I can bump up the ISO more if it does this have, not really. Anyway, and yeah, certainly not for general purpose system unless you are into systemd and hoping that this takes over and then everything is integrated in one single address space because unikernel. But otherwise, then of course for certain tasks except general purpose system, as I say so often, I would rather prefer some more isolated drivers here that the keyboard driver can't crash the rest of the kernel and things like this, or the network, obviously network routing and so on. How long is this paper actually? So the paper is actually quite long, very long study. You can certainly read this if you are into this kind of things. There you see your example main program. This would be your kernel here, probably allegedly hello world is a reference implementation of a string, whatever. Super amazing kernel there, but probably this becomes more sophisticated. And yeah, why do I experiment with this low level stuff like the voodoo? Because I want first-hand experience, and if I read already papers for 20 years, and from reading papers we cannot get stuff done. This is why eventually I have to get started and write an example implementation of and doing everything. There is a difference between reading this theoretically and actually really doing this. And then when you really do this from scratch, you realize all the things you might not have thought about and all the details and so on. In other news, Palm, good old vintage legacy emulation, because why not? There's someone, Dimitri maybe, according to this warning there, and another warning, large warning pre-release article, and here's sorry, probably too much work today. Reverse engineering Palm OS architecture. A long ride here of history if you're interested in this kind of vintage hardware. If you grew up with this, I actually never had probably a Palm, at least not personally. Nonetheless, always fun read to read here. And by the way, what was this DAL? This DAL was some device independent virtual machine kind of stuff, or what was PAL? DAL's driver is something done by the DAL module ID 0. And where was PAL first mentioned? Anyway, you get the idea. Maybe this was some virtual machine BIOS stuff, or on top of the DAR lives boot module ID1 provides a lot of low level. Anyway, you get the idea, and he probably quite some stuff. As far as I remember reading this quite a week ago. A JIT job is never over. May burn in hell forever. And yeah, he jumps and calls and so on. He got stuff to work eventually. Also super old-fashioned BitBLT, I think he said. As far as I remember, there was something with completely crude details of all kind of special BitBLTing there for menus and background. Something really interesting to read always. Certainly, as I say, always huge task. This is why we also move the PS3 RSX in front of us, and also eventually want to do more Power VR and other fun stuff. But that is stuff for another month, because need to grow the channel here and see what actually works here for doing this. Now, this is of course, you zoom in and the bloody advertisement gets bigger. Thank you very much for that. Then let's just move this over and hope that it is mostly covered there. And in other news, how much does Amazon deliveries contribute to global warming? What is actually number of trucks on the roads doubled since Amazon launched in 1994. By the way, can you believe that Amazon is that old? Probably time to start a nice video output is low, still low. How many dropped? 13,000, so just reducing the load on the server. Did not entirely fix it. By the way, how bad is the audio and video? Could you give me an indication in the audience? Not that I talk everything and later realize that all the audio is missing. And yeah, while this is loading. And what else? Supply chain, transportation, logistics total emit between 20 to 75% less per customer average than passenger vehicles. What? Anyway. Yeah, also when I order something, I really wonder, I often order something like the Razer Core X or something, and then I get 3 packages because they ship everything. I find this so inefficient. I understand they probably want to optimize shipment time to the customers, and if they first drive everything to a central or to one of the warehouses, like consolidate the parts because they don't have the Razer X in one and the USB-C hub in another, and then instead of consolidating this, they really ship this out to the customers. Also, maybe it actually might not make such a difference actually. So basically the parcel center is already the consolidation center. But anyway, I find this rather ridiculous. You order 3 similar things and you get them in 3 separate parcels. Slightly crazy in my opinion. But yeah, still here the audio is good, but the video goes down sometimes. Refreshing fixes it. And maybe if I can continue this build, you see here our dedication of earlier live stream continuation of bootstrapping latest GCC and glibc. Anyway, I did this other, yeah, here's something. Yes, I accept to each bullshit of something. What? Breaking up Amazon? Was it the title of the other video? One solves the climate problem. Yeah, anyway, this online economy, I know I slightly contribute to this, although I theoretically want to minimize this a little bit. The problem is, of course, that for the YouTube filming here, review and setup of video gear, here a cable, there an HDMI converter. And the problem is that some of this stuff is a little bit special and I can't get it. What stream complete? What does it mean, stream complete? Are we even still? Hello? Don't tell me this broke here entirely on something. Do we have still not TG3 stream resumed? While we speak about this, 15,000 drop frames. It's ridiculous that despite a VPN, our internet got so. Last week we had 0 drop frames, and now we have so many. Whatever is up with this part of the internet. And really sad. Thank you very much. Video output is low. 8 Mbit. Still stuff to be optimized here. Really sad that Vodafone is not contributing the greatest to this kind of There's even my... It's the one thing I did not want to do. Here's my canvas. How's our network throughput here? Let's move it there where I see it. And yeah, really sad state of the internet in Central Europe. And yeah, really sad for Friday for future. But maybe try, although we have this, I know we have this Amazon affiliate links because this is one of the big global things that people use and we can easily hook into. So if you anyway order something and want to contribute to our project here, to our experiment, then you can use this affiliate links there down in the comments, in the video description. And yeah, otherwise maybe just go out around to your local stores and grab something. We definitely, in my opinion, as far as the state of global warming looks, probably need to watch out a little bit for that. And in other news, maybe also keep the SSD there. How is our 16,000 drop frames? Ridiculous. In other news, some Apple news, this news, among other things, Apple's iPhone Woes Continue in Q2 2019 as revenue goes down by 5%. Yes, we are contributing to this, Louis Rossmann and myself. We make it here, pointing out all the peak bugs, everything non-working, serial defects in every second Mac, stuck, dust stuck, butterfly keyboards, you name it, glued-in batteries, headphone jack eliminated, and serviceability down to an all-time low. And apparently people notice this. And yeah, of course, they still rack in billions, and also including what makes, I said this already even today in today's live stream, we had one live stream with App Store, we send their apps, they take 30%, and what do? Nothing. They only put roadblocks in our way, like this bloody review, coming up with random bullshit, including that in last year already the builds disappeared, now the builds disappear again, because why should something work at Apple? And yeah, 58, I mean, how crazy is this if you think about this? 58 billion revenue in one quarter is of course crazy, although this is down year over year 5% and quarter to quarter 31% down. These are of course ridiculously high numbers, and why we need to think how we continue our experiment here. And it's certainly not enough to just call out Apple's peak bugs and all their stuff not amazingly engineered, like keyboards and glued-in batteries and deleted headphone jack, but we need to work on this ourselves. I don't have the financial backing right now myself to produce a complete phone from scratch. I think this is also probably something that is not the best business in there, but I can only encourage all of you, accept all the difficulties from PayPal fee, transaction fees not in the future apparently no longer be reimbursed, and other taxes and all the other stuff in between. Do your own business or work on good stuff, good projects, make the world a better place. And we certainly do not make the world a better place with the world being dominated by 5 big global players, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, you name it, or something, plus another pharma company and food company here and there. Of course, this is usually, like you see, 20 years ago, Apple was nearly bankrupt. They were begging for each customer, and some tech-savvy people stick to this for PowerPC, and at that time, relatively okay hardware. Of course, in retrospect, the hardware was not amazing. In iBook times, also plastic cracking and whatnot, but compared to other PCs back in the era, certainly quite fine hardware. I myself got this for just Linux work, and this, you see, they make 58 billion, they don't pay taxes, and this is just look to the infrastructure. When you drive through America or just look the news, bridges collapsing, streets in absolute crappy shape there, pothole after pothole, at least in most streets. Of course, you find some fine streets that are brand new, but otherwise collapsing. Even new dams, I think they're around New Orleans or something. I read the dams already for global warming and increasing water levels already breaking or starting to needing repair. I think even in Washington, some cherry trees, I recently see 100-year-old cherry trees getting salt water and dying there from growing in salt water, something with the groundwater being penetrated with salty seawater and such stuff of this. This is of course not only in America, also in Europe. You don't need to look to the States, also in Europe. Most taxes, most companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Starbucks, you name it. This probably don't drink Starbucks coffee, but some good local tap water. Yeah, we probably still need to think. I certainly will try here some things, but to more life lesson and other thought sharing stuff in the future. In other news, yeah, so certainly not everyone is as amazed by this. Products like She here, 21,000 frames. I'm also not amazed by this 38% dropped frames, ridiculous. So this is not only that load here. Actually wonder if I check here the load, what is going on here on this server. Actually the SSD load not too high, so much to whatever. Thank you very much Vodafone for this. It's amazing, not amazing, sorry, not sorry. Anyway, in other news here, you see also people even use it on airport service and such. Sales are going down, and yeah, I certainly don't buy it. In other news, my brother has already the third or fourth time swapped iPad because somehow he gets white zones under the display. Not sure if this is a recurring issue. He had this 3 times swapped over a year or something, so I'm not sure if this was the first Pro or whatever he has. Anyway, he also gets disappointed by this, and even he had already the third phone, aside from breaking keyboards and such. By the way, was this revenue or profit maybe? Also, if this is profit, record billion, revenue, whatever, revenue. Revenue is down. Yeah, even revenue is down, not even to speak about all the repair profit there. In other news, we have quite some news in other news. This news here, should have sorted them better. Tim Cook blames Intel for this. Of course, it's not their failing keyboards or that people are not satisfied by this bullshit anymore. Sold out in SSDs, sold out in memory, no Pro Max, no upgrades, no nothing, only slim and ultra wide and otherwise similar stuff like that. But Tim Cook of course blames Intel because it's always the others. And for the Mac business overall, we faced some processor constraints in the March quarter. Oh, processor constraints are, yes, we all know Intel is not getting their new process node out of the development research phase there, but Apple blaming Intel supply, maybe also make Pro chips and not have forced people to ultra low voltage CPUs, and maybe just saw some AMD Ryzen. It's not like there's only Intel. So yeah, if you have a supply shortage, then maybe look to your own bean counting, Mr. Apple there, Mr. Cook Apple. And yeah, this is, I have no words. This is of course ridiculous. It's always the others. And in other news here, we have quite some Apple news, negative stuff of course. Apple cracks down on Apple on apps that fight iPhone addiction. What a surprise. And also this is of course ridiculous. The usual people, small entrepreneurs make innovative apps like the screen time, I think, where, not screen time, this time shift for blue filtering at night was an independent app. And so many stuff Apple copies, you know, they just integrated into the iOS. Is this an iOS? Is this a feature that should be in the OS? Yes, it should be in the OS, but then Apple should not always say they are the greatest innovators and everyone copies the others, when Apple is one of the biggest copy machines, even down to the small features. And they call here spying on children or some sort of that. It's of course always for the children. here also other people say, so it's not only me who is disappointed calling out peak bugs or Louis Rossmann there, it's also other people saying they're systematically killing the industry. And this, by the way, exactly when you rely on some dictator there, like Apple, not a free market, where you can just offer you your app like ours, where we send something to Apple and it disappears, and then all the users who have no clue about anything tell you, the developer, know the App Store is amazing, when you, as a developer, know very well all the 25 things that suck majorly, starting from this bloody review process that's not helping anything, it's complete vaporware. The malware there pass through, well hidden in plain sight, and the normal apps like ours, they claim we access the contacts, which we don't. Made a video about this. The updates disappear in dev null and some data nirvana and stuff like this. But you see also the small, and again, they destroy. Apple blames others to copycat. Look at your own nose, Mr. Tim Apple. You are copying here small developers, you take 30%. You are not the Robin Hood here. You are the sheriff of Nottingham or something. You take from all the small independent developers 30% of our profits. And by the way, just to reiterate this as an example, our exact scan $99.99 in the App Store, 30% goes to Apple, then we only get 70, or actually you need to probably calculate slightly different. First, usually VAT goes away, then from 100 euro you only get 80, then 30% goes away, then from 80 you only get 50, and that is effectively like kind of plus minus 50%. Thank you very much. Of course, we need to pay VAT to make bridges, and Europe, America, Germany, and everyone else from Russia and China great again. Certainly everyone deserves good school, good drinking water, by the way, tap water, amazing stuff, and streets and infrastructure, airports that get built and finished and stuff. But don't pretend here to be the white Gandalf, the white of something of whatever, protector of the Wonderland, when you aren't. And this is why I get really depressive. In the meantime, I need this YouTube channel here to also as a therapy session, because if I read and have to deal with this company bullshit, not only Apple but also others, app stores, security theater, app notarization, security theater of the finest, you name it, it's ridiculous. And this is why we have here recurring Apple news, because on top of everything, Apple tells lawmakers in the right to repair business, you know, Louis Rossmann, Jessa Jones, everyone else there, who I might probably not watch but should be called out, including ourselves, repairing a lot of stuff here on this channel, including hacking batteries and other fine stuff here, other amazing stuff like probably maybe nobody else has done before. And yeah, it's of course, Apple tells people will hurt themselves if they try to fix their phones. And yeah, you know what, Apple, you can also bloody fucking build a phone that is not breaking like this. You know what, Apple, what is hurting your customers, what is hurting children's is building phones that break like this here. Maybe then don't do this, don't use glass or something. Can we also focus here on our amazing camera assistant, Jack? Can we? Here we go, Jack. So yeah, you know what, Apple, we don't need people who repair phones. People can hurt themselves very fine here on your amazing breaking peak bugs, defects. It drops once, maybe build it so that it doesn't break on the first drop, because this hurts your customers, and not only themselves and their children, but also their wallet. Don't look further than on your own fail. And yeah, also it would not hurt customers if you make this battery swappable. I don't care how. In earlier times this was possible. It was your amazing innovation for bean counting and profit maximization to make phones unrepairable. It is not the customer, it is you. Actually, look on your own nose there, Pinocchio, Tim Cook, or Apple. Actually, no, I mispronounced your last name, sorry for that, Tim Apple. Look to your own nose, what you lie the whole day to your lobbyists and such. Fix your own stuff, make battery swappable. It was possible in the past, and in my opinion, this is completely normal stuff. For 20 years, cell phones were battery swappable, and then came Apple and made them not swappable. So yeah, Don't accept these lies. I hope the lawmakers are more clever than that and also listen to other independent feedback. Also this farmer machines there, what is it, trucks, something, should probably tractors, or what is it in English, this John Deere or whatever, this something quoting from the back of my memory, where they don't want you to repair your tractor or your machines, you buy them for $250,000 and then you're not allowed to swap some water pump or something. This is of course ridiculous. Same for Tesla. People fix their cars for 100 years, find themselves. Don't start telling people hurt themselves. People also hurt themselves with an iPhone, with a Mac falling on the feet and other fun stuff. And yeah, this is really, it's always the children, always the safety. This is ridiculous. Just build the stuff more serviceable. Don't glue in the battery. It is not necessary to use so much glue there, so much adhesive, that the battery is twisted as much when you try to pull it. Also, the bloody battery straps there, this plastic stripes under the battery, usually they break. Maybe don't glue it in as much. Makes the strips not breaking and fragile breaking as such, and you name it. In other news, Americans' favorite door locking app has the data privacy problem. For me, I always find it really strange that people need to put everything and their door locking app into the cloud. The same, I think there was some Amazon delivery stuff for having such kind of locking app where Amazon and their servers can see into your front door stuff and can open it and film it, and in my opinion, really stupid innovation. What you normally would not want to do. What does it help you if someone can hack it? And even if there's a camera there, as if thieves do not wear black gloves, there's a ski mask and everything. Ridiculous. By the way, maybe leave me something in the comments below. Always fun to exchange ideas and listen to the feedback. So yeah, just exactly what you would think goes wrong. By the way, which raised 96 million. I also sometimes wonder, maybe I should also raise some 96 million for some amazing, by the way, for this kind of stupid business here. Maybe we should raise 90. Do we have our video running? This is not what I wanted. Maybe we should also raise 96 million for some modern microkernel systems, making EU internet security great again or something. This kind of slogans I heard allegedly work pretty well. Maybe we should try this, and yeah, things in the cloud can get hacked, leak. You know, maybe they were using Windows ISS internet server or some similar amazing, or they published their login credentials in GitHub or some silly stuff like this. And privacy, 3000 word privacy policy, which, like many similar tech terms or services, is long, vague, and difficult to read. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, in my opinion. Also, this stupid EU regulations, is all the general data protection stuff, all too lengthy, all too complicated. In the end, it has zero effect and only opens. Yeah, as usual, stuff needs to be simpler, not so complicated. Anyway, raise your hand if you think this is a good idea to put your door locking stuff app there into the cloud and what is it, HomeKit kind of app stuff. And as usual, it will outdate very soon. A normal door lock we can use for 20 years, and then you have this fancy startup stuff here, and it's outdated in 2 years, costs 3 times as much money, and in 3, 4, 5 years time you can't use it if it's not hacked earlier and people just go into your house. The usual stuff, you name it. In other news, the Conspiracy To Kill Internet Explorer, some allegedly, apparently, he writes here, Microsoft employee or ex-employee or something like this, opens up here the Pandora box of how they conspired to kill the Internet Explorer. Actually, wait a second, I misread this. I wanted to say Google employee. He worked at YouTube here, he says, allegedly, so actually the other way around. So just what you would expect with people, just like Microsoft was evil, like Apple is now becoming evil, and Google is long evil already. So much don't do evil or something only good, or whatever their fancy pants slogan was there. But Of course, no surprise there. When they had the possibility, they manipulated their YouTube stuff here so to design the site so that they intentionally phased out support for browsers and forced people to upgrade, of course, to Google Chrome or other browsers. Guess why the market share is like this today? And this is exactly what is today when I go to this, how many drop frames? 28,000 drop frames, amazing stuff. When I go to the dashboard here, look how long this loads, especially this new YouTube Studio. And I heard multiple times already that developers at Google intentionally design the site so that they work the most amazing with Chrome. Usually, yeah, this is not the live stream. This happens always that Firefox wants a page is slow loading. So 500 Mbit cable and you get this loading experience. And this is even if I'm not live streaming on the same 500 Mbit cable pipe here, I get a similar stuff. And then they wonder if I click on here. Earlier, they allowed me to click on Creator Studio Classic because it's like 10 times faster, so much to bloat here, not only in GCC and regular rich desktop applications, even web applications bloat to no, like there is no tomorrow. And earlier, this did not appear here. Now, since a week or two, they asked this bloody questionnaire. I have already clicked everything. I also wonder why they every other time I filled out here more stuff, because why not? Sometimes even wrote stuff in there. They've shown this by the way, the state of web and smart, amazing artificial intelligence application. I clicked already all these check marks plenty of times, and I heard already, by the way, did I not click skip, or did I, wait a second, what did I, or it's still waiting for data because apparently 500 Mbit cable is not enough for this. And yeah, this is super slow and it doesn't surprise me. And I read already somewhere else that not even this bloody new, completely slow beta studio thing there, that is also, I also wonder, why do companies always need to rewrite? Can they not refine? Like, which sane company would always rewrite everything? We certainly don't always rewrite here everything, but apparently companies in the Silicon Valley usually do, because whatever they learn there for software design and something. And I read already long time ago, many months ago, that even for the regular end user YouTube, they use features, specifically some asynchronous JavaScript loading and execution, whatever fancy pants nonsense that is not available in Firefox, and when or it's different, or whatever, the 500 million details of HTML5 and all the surrounding standards. But yeah, even the regular YouTube is slow, and this does not surprise me to know. By the way, maybe I should join their Linus Tech Tips float plane videos, fancy something, not sure if they allow open third party or not by invitation. But yeah, here YouTube apparently banner launches here, and then since then apparently Internet Explorer, probably allegedly, stuff goes down. Where is all the, this is all Internet Explorer Edge version usage share. Yeah, so no surprise there, just what happens when you have monopolies and whatever. The same with Apple, although Apple is not yet a monopoly, except maybe iPhone. Of course, Mac usage is probably below, at least with no Pro machines, right? Dropping below 10%. But yeah, we need to call this out. This is why we do this live stream here, summarizing all these developments, news that otherwise might, breadcrumbs that might fall between the cracks here in the forest of random IT news during the week. What else do we have here? Other code signing. We made the video about code signing, and now it hit Firefox. Plugins here apparently because some certificate expired or something, and now all the Firefox extensions apparently are disabled due to expiration of some immediate signing certificate. Just what I always say, not only with Firefox, but why is this not simply using the regular domain name? Is it not enough to trust something if you download something from Xcode or Microsoft? Do they need to have this intermediate certificate at Mozilla that they even let to expire? Because probably that is what you do with certificates. By the way, are there comments in the audience, or is my browser just not loading? Slightly wondering that we don't have anything news. Always amazing. I wish this would be even more dynamic here. Again, still wrong. This is what I mean with we probably should have this already switched to a window manager that has support for multi-display stuff. But let's see, 32,000 drop frames per chaos, that is what 500 Mbit is for. Yeah, in my opinion, just exactly the code signing vaporware stuff that we usually call out here. I wonder slightly why the internet is that shitty today. Just for the live stream, we have comments in the audience apparently, probably just not loading over 500 Mbit internet cable, something. Vodafone, if you're listening, we have some issue here. And now the video tries to load 32,800 and now a couple of more drop frames. Firefox, so what do we have here? We missed a lot of comments in the audience apparently. Bloody fucking Tim Apple people write distro I'm using your streaming is lagging. Yes, thank you very much. I'm using T2 SDE, our amazing source distribution, which is amazing. Internet is only lagging because of bloody Vodafone cable. This is infrastructure apocalypse 2019 here. You have 500 Mbit down and 50 Mbit up, and you can't stream with reliable 8 Mbit here for really stupid cable DOCSIS reasons. Sorry for that, usually it was better. It is particularly bad today. Maybe I should restart this plastic Chinese crap router there. And lawmakers are, well, the lawmakers are intelligent enough, but the bribes are so good. Yeah, that is exactly what I figured. Ability to remote door unlocking, that sounds like a brilliant idea. Louis Rossmann detects the battery, detaches the battery with a hammer, cause he got angry. From Apple. Yeah, this video I found a little bit stupid. Not really sure if that proves the point. I've seen this video, but in my opinion, maybe not some very smartest video. We are totally racking up here drop frames. Are we even still live streaming? What a live streaming fail. We already tunneled this through the data center with, as you can see, if you can see this Wi-Fi ton. Why this is, or are we not Ethernet? This is really low performance, or is this, are we even, so it goes to that data center, so it's ridiculous. Should open here 5.4. Really wonder how crappy this stream is. This is, of course, we upgrade our internet to the latest and greatest 500 Mbit, and then the live stream becomes worse. That is what you can buy here for money in 2019 in Germany. That is the best way to remove one, and here now something loaded. Let's click here on pause for that. IE6's agent should have died long ago. Yes, I agree, but you see this, now I closed it already, but this was already from, of course, many years ago. IS7 and above is pretty decent web server, someone writes on. I know most of the people here are Linux guys, but I've had relatively few issues with it. That is fine. We also sometimes boot Windows, preferable in virtual machines. No hard feelings there, except when people call me out for being too stupid to install chipset drivers for a Voodoo 2. New YouTube studio sucks. Cisco says just even rename video. I have to launch it every single time. Okay, interesting too. So you're on YouTube streaming apparently. Interesting to know. Firefox even suggests me to kill it. Yeah, just here, holy shit, almost instantly loads in Chromium, but Firefox takes ages in comparison. That studio thing. Yes, great job, Mozilla. So this, with this studio load time, in my opinion, this is also mostly Mozilla's, Google's fault, because they most likely designed it that at this independent benchmarks don't show Firefox that lagging. This is most likely intentionally fabricated, so not to use specific asynchronous whatsoever features there. And Firefox is bad. Don't know really what mentions here. Constant bitrate also. Firefox is pretty bad with multiple tabs, like 40 tabs over 2 windows, and Opera, not sure why. So yeah, this I don't even have 40 tabs open here, I have only 10 tabs open, but then it is, in this case of Google technology, I read other people alleging them to design it intentionally so that not using features on Firefox or putting special pseudo, not yet standardized text into Chrome for other browsers not to have it. And Twitch recommends streaming with constant bitrate to work around dynamic throttling shaping algorithms. Yeah, so this is, I can't even, I put there bitrate, it's just not, well, with 50 mbits it should sustain 10 mbits. It's not like I stream here with 50 mbits, but at least 10 mbits. I opened this report at Vodafone already 2 weeks ago or 3 or whenever we upgraded, but they only called me back to tell me, yes, they know already that their core infrastructure here needs to be upgraded because Central Berlin, everyone wants amazing cable and bitrate and whatnot. Let's see, does this load a little bit more now or not? Initially, I apparently could work around this a little bit by VPNing here, routing everything through the data center, but apparently this does not work today for whatever reasons. Also, fun fact, people probably will need to reinstall all their Firefox plugins. And well, good news, the latest DOCSIS standard allows for 1 gigabit symmetrical connections. Yeah, it doesn't help much if the DOCSIS standards allows for this and then the core infrastructure router stuff does not handle it there. By the way, how crappy is this, as 36,000 drop frames, 36% does not sound amazing, and I already went down with the bitrate today because it was already shitty today. You had one job, Vodafone, and you completely failed. By the way, previously this was Cable Germany, but Vodafone brought it. So it's also your fault, Vodafone, that no, I can call out Vodafone instead of Cable Germany. You brought it, you messed with it. It is not amazing. You sold me an upgrade that doesn't work, just like Louis Rossmann stuff there. Apparently New York and Berlin are not too dissimilar in regards to fucked up cable internet stuff I'm aware of. However, the sites on Firefox are usually JavaScript heavy and HTML5 performance was bad Opera up to the same. Yeah, anyway, but also it is, Google is so big they could really design their sites that they work decent, but probably we need to make soon a monster live stream and try to package Chromium just for the fun of it. I'm completely not motivated for this because I already made a 7-hour Qt and KDE update and a not as long 3-hour GNOME update, and we have not even updated all of GNOME and KDE. Everything's super ridiculous, so many packages, so many dependencies, everything breaks left and right. And as we have already dropped frames, we can maybe also, let me look into that here and then resume this screen and resume this build here when we already have drop frames. Then let's do it. And to graver this, there's an ungoogled Chromium, maybe want to look at that. Yeah, you're running on Gentoo, right? And did you not recently tell us that you were compiling Chromium for some 7 hours or something? It strips all Google garbage. Yeah, also I called out for all of the recurring, I'm not recurring, or new subscribers, we make this experiment. And by the way, you better share, like, and subscribe if you like the segment, because if this experiment is not successful enough, we might scrap this new show of recompiling IT news and bits and pieces of this week. So if you like the segment, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, because if it's not successful enough, our producer and parent company might be as evil as Google and just scrap this experiment for not being successful enough, not racking up here enough advertising income. This reminds me, we have here some play ad button, so then let's try to play an app. And yep, in case you see one, it strips all. Yeah, so but the problem is probably packaging this is a nightmare. Probably compiling takes even longer than Firefox, I have the impression. Last but not least, what else news did we had here last? Alright, this is a completely last minute news. By the way, fancy modern websites, right? Everything blinking, animating, and then you wonder that everything is so slow with all this kind of HTML5 animation, JavaScript, CSS, you name it. It is no wonder that this is probably How many drop frames? 39,000 drop frames. I would not be surprised if this Firefox right now consumes more CPU cycles than OBS, or maybe today not, but nearly. Why is OBS taking 52 today? Usually it doesn't consume that much. Anyway, wonder why this is this a reason why something, what nonsense is this? Stop streaming, start streaming. This is also not normal. Usually OBS only consumed 5, 6, 7, 10. Maybe this is also a contributing factor to our dropping frames. And yeah, anyway, we will try this Chromium. For this you can share, like, and subscribe. And the productivity pit, how Slack is ruining work. And I have only a very recent data point to this, because usually I run here my own business, exec code, successfully enough to live stream a YouTube half of the week, and otherwise only be partially irritated that Apple is dropping our releases there, because only the App Store customers, the hardcore Apple fans, get what they signed up for, their challenge for some part. And in other news, I'm pretty good at avoiding all this kind of web productivity nonsense that big companies and some of you might be using. And I only recently got in touch with this, with the work, not only in the Twain working group for scanning standards, but also where we recently joined the PDF Association in terms of ISO standardization, where I'm becoming, or have become, or waiting on the last. I should be de facto project lead of the PDF raster standard, although maybe the final word might not be 100% spoken there due to some technical legalities, but we officially joined the PDF Association on top of all this standard joining, spending even more money for standardizing stuff here. And so all lights should be green and good to go, hopefully, apparently anyway. And so only with this I got recently in touch with not only Microsoft Office for editing this bloody ISO standards, also ISO standards not edited with tech and stuff, good old text documents. I probably make a dedicated episode about editing standards, ISO standards in Microsoft Office. Completely hilarious in my opinion, with all this modification tracking, and then everything is misformatted and nobody knows after a couple of months and hundreds edits who edited what, and the tracking history is full of edits and whatnot. And recently of this I got a notification that I need to join there, that they forgot to invite me to the Slack nonsense, and I joined the Slack stuff, not yet used it much, but I feel with all the Twain and PDF ISO standard work, I feel completely disconnected. All this web stuff is a complete overload. I'm completely lost in this. I don't get notifications where I should get. I don't like this. I don't want to log into web applications the whole day. In my opinion, email is the best workflow for me. Not only the last 10 years, but even the last 20 years. Totally amazing. Make a mailing list. In my opinion, each open source mailing list is more productive. You know what? I film here in the wrong, no, I realize here I have the camera in the wrong setting. Damn it, I have the camera in the 4K setting. That explains why the image format is also not perfect. But it's probably not related to the frame drops anyway. And yeah, this is why, for me, this web workflow is total waste of time. Totally ruins my productivity. I get the most when you see me using Emacs when I don't have an Apple Watch. This is why I don't have an Apple Watch. I want to concentrate. It's already irritating me enough when I sit here, I live stream, I work in Emacs on some good code or something, and then I get here some bloody notification of some Instagram, YouTube, friends and family stuff, and totally ruins concentration. And for me, nothing beats good old mailing lists, email workflow, completely amazing. And this is, in my opinion, solutions looking for a problem here. And in my opinion, I have the feeling most people in my company not, but from what I see from my experience with working in the standard organizations, with web invites, with Google Drive, with Google whatnot, with GoToMeeting and Slack and whatnot, totally kills productivity. Everything is slow, you don't know where the stuff is, you always miss something, and nothing beats good old-fashioned email, mailing lists. And even with this standard organizations, I always miss something, because there was some web management somewhere that nobody knew except 3 people, where they shared something and stuff like this. And yeah, it's hilarious. I will probably make a dedicated video how hilarious it is to edit ISO standards in Microsoft Word. I never really used, I have actually a license for Microsoft Word 6 or something. I think I have an original CD from 1996 or something. And after this, I most likely have never purchased or used Microsoft Office. As I said, we came here to Linux in 1996, 1997, joined Rock Linux in 1998, something like that. And since then, I have not seen much commercial software, except later a little bit Mac OS, migrating my desktop half of the time. But even then, I did, for example, all the image processing work or other low-level work, just before the live stream, I fixed a bug. We have our own CCITT encoder and decoder. Customer, after 100,000 pages encoded and decoded, customer came last Friday, and actually new customer, I think maybe recently newly purchased, maybe even App Store or some stuff like this. Customer of the app, of the Mac version, had some document that not being processed. A really funny coincidence there in the CCITT fax compression. Why CCITT? Not only for TIFF, by the way, fun fact, you hear this here first, we do not only have our own CCITT fax G3, G4, 1D, 2D compression, because I'm not as shameless as a stealing person as people from Apple and Google just importing open source stuff. We have here some pride and honor and dedication. We write this from scratch. So among all the 500 things I've written in my lifetime, I've written a CCITT fax G3, G4 decompressor and compressor, because why not? And yeah, fixed something quickly here in front of the live stream. Actually took quite long. I actually worked on this last night already. Had to remember, because we have not touched this in a year or two. And yeah, what actually turned out to be a completely silly problem, just like after some end-of-line parsing, continuing in the 1D versus 2D mode at the wrong location. But why do I say this? We don't only have CCITT compression, we even have an own TIFF decoder and encoder. Initially we have used libtiff, but this library is just too ugly. And eventually I wanted to get rid of this, and I wrote my own, completely small. And when I write my own code, usually keep it stupid simple, super simple TIFF writer and reader and writer. By the way, fun fact, the same codec infrastructure like our open source exact image. So in our open source exact image, there is libtiff glue for using exact image with libtiff, and later in our closed keeping it closed source to have some benefit of having the most amazing software in the world and not sharing the same bug-ridden peakbugs kind of image capture, libtiff, libjpeg. Probably, by the way, I've started an own JPEG decoder, because why not? Maybe one day. We're already using our own JPEG decoder. We are using, because why do I even have an own JPEG decoder? Because some scanners only output JPEG data, and I did not want it to have libjpeg in our driver infrastructure. This is why I've done a keep it stupid simple JPEG decoder used in certain kinds of infrastructure of our scanner driver infrastructure. And to continue this amazing stuff that we have written comes PNG, because also did not want it just for the fun fact not to use libpng anymore. So I even have written my own PNG encoder, maybe decoder, maybe both, don't remember. Might not decode everything, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's not encoding and decoding interlaced or something, Adam, whatever, that was 7 or 11 or something, interlaced images, but all the other regular images are decoded. So if we ever start an own commercial operating system, we at least have already a good set of libraries, TIFF, PNG, JPEG decoding, and we certainly, so you see, you don't always need to reuse open source libraries for your amazing keeping it stupid simple software. You can also write your own in an afternoon or weekend here, left and right, and that we have our own PDF library that can completely read and write PDFs. I probably mentioned already. Just here some fun fact. And now I pressed here some wrong mouse away button. Comment in the audience, system requirement. Yes, I know the system requirements are quite high. 8 gigs of RAM for highly recommended. This is probably also what is recommended for Firefox. Probably not the big deal there. You need Git and Python version 2 installed. Yeah, still have Python version 2 around for all the other abandonware. I'm trying to port LuaKit to Windows at the moment. What is LuaKit? I know a Lua. I have not heard of LuaKit. I only know LuaJIT. Still maintained though. Maintained. Them 8 gigs guess I only have single threaded. Probably, yeah, our Ryzen build has 32 gigs of memory. And yeah, you see our freshly updated T2 build here still going strong. How many drop frames? 41,000. By the way, is the audio at least? LuaKit is a browser. LuaKit is a browser. What the heck? I think I need to Google this. I thought it's a programming language and has something to do with Lua. Let's see, LuaKit or something. And yeah, this concludes this week's IT news and bits tonight and stuff. All the stuff that happened in the meantime. And LuaKit, what is this here even? LuaKit Enterprise, what the heck? Audio figure luck it what? I think I'm using the wrong search engine to find something meaningful, apparently allegedly as sad as it is. And I hope you learned something. Amazing that you tuned in for the summary. We probably stopped this live stream, especially LuaKit web browser. What the heck? Fast, extensible, customizable web browser. That sounds interesting. GTK Plus, okay, that is certainly interesting. Different theme, vertical tabs. Yeah, but probably then it probably relies on the WebKit stuff of GTK Plus or something. Maybe not. Maybe not the most amazing, outstanding something. With this, we probably call this a day here because I want more subscribers, viewers and whatnot. And when we live stream here for hours and usually a few people watch it later on, and we live streamed already probably too much today that 2 people already unsubscribed already. I always said you put so much work and experimental something here in your live stream and video content production, and then people unsubscribed. As I always say, if you unsubscribed, at least leave a comment that I know what we have not done amazing. And if you only are here for the PS3, then yes, we can put it into the camera and call this a PS3 live stream that we will continue soon for all the graphic stuff we have to do, certainly for sure here on that part of the live stream world. And we can also focus check. Can we focus? And yeah, with this, it's time to say good night, good day, bonjour, privyet, and I hope to see you soon. I hope you learned something. I hope you share, like, and subscribe. And yeah, so much stuff to come, not only compiling, packaging, maybe at times Teams. And P3 makes me laugh every time. Yes, this is why we have it now in good reach here, and probably need to keep it here and shield a little bit of our 41,000, 31%. Vodafone, what is wrong with your cable? You can't sell us 500 Mbit down and 50 Mbit up if we have here 31% package loss, even if we already tunnel this apparently, or is ODB this not? But I think this, let's make your final look at, by the way, did I not close the browser here? This is of course not. Anyway, should not be open here. And where is our amazing, where is all the data going? Or is this not updating for some reason? This might maybe not be updating because of also fail here moving that. Maybe I need to fix an implementation limitation of my own stuff here not updating when I should have actually wondered earlier about this. I realized this the other day, when some sensor thing doesn't have data, then there's a runtime error and then the timer doesn't trigger anymore. When your own software has peak bugs. So yeah, here we have this ton 1.1 megabytes. This makes 8 Mbit. Currently, yeah, OBS says 9 Mbit something, 8 Mbit. Yeah, 1 megabyte is going out there wherever the huge loss is coming from. And yeah, I post the links. Now I closed the email just after the live stream. I post the links here. Maybe you can copy and paste it if you have the minute, because I'm slightly overworked and need to finish other things with this. If you have the time, just copy the timestamps out of there. And otherwise, thanks for watching, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and give it a thumbs up, and everything. Spread to friends, family, and whatnot. Reddit, your favorite social sites, you name it, because we have so much stuff to come. Continuing packaging, continuing P3, of course, highest priority. Yes, I know, RSX stuff, so many stuff to do, obviously, but then of course also updating GNOME, KDE, Razer Core X, and packaging Chrome, testing so much stuff, ThinkPad, peak bugs, hacking T2, microkernel, vintage stuff, prototyping, research, you name it. But with this, it is really time to say good night now. Probably super late already, probably 23, I guess, if this time is correct in this time zone. Anyway, it is. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon. And nearly Samsung phone slipping here from the table. And yeah, so much work to continue, and see you tomorrow or something like that.